Hello my friends, this is Sylvie Curry and we are back again in my kitchen. It is May the 22nd, 2020, and if you guys are like me, we've been doing a lot of baking. I started a sourdough starter now almost 2 months ago and been doing a lot of baking of sourdough breads and English muffins and things like that. And if you're like me, I've saved a lot of the discard and trying to find something to use it for. Lo and behold, I came upon a recipe for sourdough discard crackers. Let me show you what I got to make these crackers. I've got some sourdough starter, and this was refrigerated, and I took it out about 30-45 minutes ago. And you know, when we make our starters, we discard a lot, and we keep a little to feed to go on. So this is that discard that a lot of people just throw away, but over time it's grown to be quite a bit. That's going in my crackers for sure. I've got some olive oil, and I'm going to be using about 4 tablespoons of olive oil, which is approximately 60 grams. I'm going to be using approximately, I think it is 400 grams of the sourdough starter. And I've got something different I'm going to put in mine. Most of the recipes that I read call for salt, or you can add rosemary, thyme, any herb you want. But I thought, I've got this special seasoning from Big Poppa Smokers called seasoned jalapeno salt, or Jallelujah. And that's got salt in it and dried jalapeno. So that might go good in this. So we're going to test this out today. I'm going to weigh out the amounts that I put in here so I can get an idea of if my gram to cup ounce ratio is correct. So I've got a 4-cup measure here, and I've zeroed it in grams, so it's at 0 point now. And I'm going to be adding the sourdough starter. And it's gotten pretty liquid now. 220, 380, oops. And that came out to be, of my starter, a little less than 2 cups. Now it's going to vary depending upon the consistency of your starter, but in general, that's about, I'm going to call it 1 3/4 cup. Zero this out again, and I'm going to go with my jalapeno salt. And remember, we're going for about 5 grams of that, which is a little bit more than a teaspoon. I'd say a teaspoon and a pinch. Will that do it? Put that to the side. And then we've got olive oil. And I'm going to weigh the olive oil in this cup here. You zero it out in grams. 60 grams is what the recipe calls for. Oops. And as I mentioned before, that's approximately 4 tablespoons of olive oil. Take our mixture. I'm going to add the olive oil. And we've got to make sure that we get this oil incorporated into the mixture. So I've got this big spatula that I'm using, which is wide, so that the dough won't stay in the middle and I can't get it out. So I'm going to mix that all up. We're going to come back. I've got that all mixed, and you can see the little specks of jalapeno that came from that Jallelujah seasoning mix. seasoned jalapeno salt. I've got a spatula, offset spatula works very well for this. I have I have a sheet pan, a baking pan, not a half. And for this recipe, we're going to pour our batter onto this sheet pan. Let's get that going. And one of the major considerations for doing this is that we get it evenly laid out and not too thick, because if you get it too thick, it won't be cracker-like, it'll be a soft cracker. And we want it to be a cracker that you can use to serve with all sorts of things, like cheese, dips, guacamole, chicken salad, tuna salad, hummus, you name it. Anything that you would use a cracker for, this can be used for. And thinking because this is jalapeno, it might go exceptionally well with something like guacamole. That would be an alternative to tortilla chips. Now I'm going to use that offset spatula to try to get it in all the corners, all around, and as even as possible, and not too thick in any one place. Okay, I've now got that spread pretty much all over evenly, and I paid attention to make sure that I got it all the way to the edges and that my corners were not thin, that they had approximately the same thickness as the other parts of the batter. I'm going to put this in a 350-degree oven, 325 convection, and we're going to cook this for the first 15 minutes. We're going to cook this, we're going to take it out, and we're going to score it with either a very sharp knife or something like a pizza cutter. Or you don't have to score it at all. You can make it rustic so that when it's finished, you just crack it and it's the shape that you want. I've also seen where people would have used something like a cookie cutter and done cookie cutter shapes. I'm into pig, so maybe one of these days I'll do one with my pig cookie cutter or something like that. So it's up to you. In addition, I thought of using this jalapeno salt, but there's other types of seasoning that you could use. If you wanted something that was more, in tune with being sweet, you could use the sweet. If you wanted to have something that was more like for a barbecue, you could use something of a barbecue rub, whatever your choice is. If you wanted to have a flavor of something like garlic, you use a garlic salt. So it's up to you, onion salt or whatever, so you put it in there. Herbs, as I mentioned before, you name it. Rosemary, thyme. You could even use something like dill, sage, any of those type of things. A substitute for the olive oil could be butter. You'd have to melt the butter, let it cool a little first, and then put it in the batter, but that might be a good substitute. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and when we come back, I'm going to show you the process of scoring. My batter has been in the oven for about 15 minutes, and now I'm going to score it. There's no specific way to do it, just whatever you feel at the time. So I'm just going to make squares. Try to make them even, but they can be rustic. Some will be a little odd shape, that's okay. And I'm going to go across this way. It already scored itself for me. That's it. Then we're going to put this back in the oven for another 30 minutes to get crisp. And we'll have our seasoned jalapeno crackers. My crackers are done. They're nice and crispy. Nice color. Let's see how they taste. That jalapeno does come through. They're not salty at all. They actually probably could go for a little bit more salt the next time I make them, but they're very good. Make you some, okay?